Good morning this morning, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you happen to be. This is going to be one of the very few videos that I make that has absolutely nothing to do with yarn. I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Donna, in case you just now joining me. I normally do talk about yarn and crochet and knitting occasionally. My friend Ashley from Stitchin Ain't Easy tagged me in the 10 non-yarny things about me tag. Both her and Madonna are trying to give it a comeback, and hopefully some of us newer channels will be able to get in on the fun. I've got a list of just bullet points, nothing specific, just bullet points I wanted to cover. The first one, excuse me, the first thing I wrote down were things I've collected. Ashley collected a couple of things that I have, so I wanted to share my collections too. When I was little, I collected rocks. I had two categories of rocks, girl rocks and boy rocks. I don't remember now the difference, but I knew back then. From there, when I was a little bit older, in my teenagers age years, I started collecting keychains. And I collected those here and there for quite a few years. And every once in a while, if I see a cool keychain, I'll have to get it. From there, I collected unicorns for many years. Oh, I had so many. And they were all beautiful, and I loved them dearly. I ended up, when I moved, I sold some, and I gave some away. I had to pare down when I moved here. My next collection were wolves. I had wolf shirts. I have a painting right up there. I like howling wolves. I don't collect just anything. In fact, I don't actively collect wolves anymore. But I do like the howling wolf. And then the last thing I collected was angels. I've got all that I've got room for now. My mama had a china hutch that she kept her china in. I inherited that when I moved into this house. She just left it here, and that's where I keep my angels and pictures. Got some pictures in there. I've been married 3 times. I won't say much about my first marriage, except that it ended in divorce, and there were biblical grounds for that divorce. I'm not going to talk about my first marriage, at least not publicly. If there's anything I talk about you want to know more about, or you have questions, my email is down in the bottom. I'm an open book. I'll talk to anybody about anything, answer questions honestly, but publicly, I'm a little more reserved. My second husband, he was my best friend, my soulmate, and he passed away in 2004. I raised my children with him. Our son was 13 when he passed away. He had brain cancer. And then I met the husband I have now. He is a good man, and some are telling the story of how they met their current spouse. After my second husband passed, he had made me promise not to sit at home and cry over him. He's very concerned about me, and excuse me. So, in an effort to keep my promise to him, my daughter and I used to go to karaoke bars mostly. There was a couple other places I went for karaoke. There was a little restaurant that I took my son to because he was 13. So I went with my son to the restaurant, and I went to occasionally to one of the bars that had karaoke with my daughter so I could listen to her sing. I didn't have the gumption to get up there and sing myself, but I listened to her sing, and at one of those bars I met my husband, and we just talked and talked and talked and talked. We've been together ever since. It was instant, like we were destined to be. And I imagine we'll be together until one of us loses the other. Enough about that. I've lived quite a few places. I had my second dad. He adopted me. He was in the military, and when I was born here in North Carolina. When my mommy married my second dad, we went to California, then we moved to Virginia, and then we went back to California, and I think we lived there 3 years, because after 2 he was ordered to move to oh, I'm forgetting about one place. We did move to California, but it wasn't to the military base, because Dad was ordered to Vietnam again. This was his second tour. So we lived in, oh, what was that? Harbison Canyon? It was near El Cajon. We lived there for a while. And then when we got back from Vietnam, that's when we moved to Oceanside. I knew I was missing some time there. It's about 1.5 years, 2 years, where we lived in Harbison Canyon. And then we moved to Camp Pendleton, which is right outside Oceanside. And we lived there for 2 years. My little brother was born there. And Dad was ordered to Korea. They had told him that he could bring his family, and we got shots and everything to go, and then hostilities broke out and families were no longer allowed to come, so Dad refused the orders. So we ended up staying at Camp Pendleton for another year or so, and ended up being stationed on Guam, and that's a little island southeast of the Philippines. It's a United States territory, I think. And that was an adventure by itself. Oh, I've got some stories, but I'm not going to go into them. If you want to hear about it, email. It's down in the description box. Then we went back to California, a different base. This was San Onofre. And from there, my dad retired, and we moved to Costa Mesa, California. Oh, that was my favorite place that we ever lived. I loved it there, and I hated leaving. But my grandpa developed black lung, so Mama wanted to move back to North Carolina. So my last 2 years of high school were in Asheville, North Carolina. That's where I graduated, and then I moved back down here to be with my grandparents. And since then, I haven't lived out of North Carolina. I've lived in different places in North Carolina, but I'm not going to go into them all. But that's a long enough story. Pets. Over the years, I've had cats, several cats. I've had several birds. I enjoyed my birds. And over the past 10, 15 years, I've mostly had dogs. I've got 2 dogs at present. One is a mixed breed. His coloring is like a border collie. And my other one, he's a Pomeranian. But Chihuahua's my favorite. I had Chihuahuas for years. If Lord had given me an opportunity to have another Chihuahua, I would take a Chihuahua, but a Pomeranian is what came into my life, and he's a sweetheart. He's a mess, but he's a sweetheart. Places I've worked. Bunch of different places. Unskilled labor. I didn't go to college. But the place I worked the longest was actually, it's not yarn related, y'all. It's not. But I worked in the knitting industry. The one was considered hosiery. And I also worked circular knitting. Where you made cloth, I did that for a while. Not as long as I did with the hosiery. We made socks, and I ran the machines, so it's not yarn related. I ran the machines, and that was my favorite job. So I was officially a knitter, even when I didn't knit. I did learn to knit after I'd worked there. Okay, husbands. Specifically how I met my current husband. I've been married 3 times. The first one ended in divorce. There were biblical grounds, and that's all I have to say about that. I don't talk about him publicly or within my daughter's hearing. If you're really, really curious and want to know about that marriage, my email is down below. My second husband, he was my soulmate, kindred spirit, my best friend. He passed away in 2004 with brain cancer. He made me promise that I wouldn't sit at home and cry over him, which I did for a little bit. But then, in order to keep my promise, I took my oldest daughter to karaoke bars. Every few weeks we'd go out and I'd listen to her sing, and on the weeks we didn't go there, I took my son to a restaurant that had karaoke. He was 13 at the time, so he loved singing too. So I'd listen to him sing at the restaurant. But when we were at the bar, I met my husband. We got to talking. We had so many things in common. I'm not going to go into all that because I don't think he'd want all the details shared. But we've been together for like 6. I think this will be our 17-year anniversary this year in October. Well, that's all I can talk to about that because I don't want to upset him. Read. I do enjoy reading. One of my favorite things forever has been mystery books. That started out in 2nd or 3rd grade. Probably 3rd or 4th. Yeah. It was 3rd or 4th grade. Because I remember where I was living. That was 3rd and 4th grade. Encyclopedia Brown. Oh, I love those books. And I've just loved mysteries my whole life. Agatha Christie. Oh, I loved Agatha Christie. And one of my favorite authors, he doesn't exactly have mystery books, but it's Sidney Sheldon. I've read everything he's written as far as book goes, and those are my favorite. And my favorite Christian author has a very similar writing style, and that's Terri Blackstock. And here the past year or two, well, in high school, I fell in love with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So I enjoy the whole sword and sorcery type genre. And in fact, I'm re-listening to some books. I've got Kindle and I've got Amazon Prime, so I get Kindle Unlimited. So there's a series by Robert J. Crane, the Sanctuary series. They're all sword and sorcery, although it's not quite in the medieval times. It's a little more modern than that, in a different world. And I'm re-listening to those books. I love audible books. Excuse me. And I also have gotten into some dystopian novels. I think Robert J. Crane has some novels in that genre too. Oh, excuse me. I was fine till I started recording, then my nose likes to run. Next is my hobbies. Other than the ones you know about, I like to make jewelry and stitch markers. I've dabbled in diamond dots. I used to love to draw, although I never was really good at it. I mostly just doodled. I enjoy doodling. I never did get into cross stitch, and I dabbled in embroidery when I was a teenager, and it just didn't float my boat. It's mostly the yarn stuff that I like, but this is the other stuff, so I'd have to say jewelry making. Oh yeah, that kind of would be considered under a hobby. Is I used to write. Nothing novel worthy, just little short stories and poetry. I submitted a bunch of my poetry into poetry.com, and I won a couple of awards. One was the Editor's Choice Award, and my second husband was really proud of that poem because I'd wrote it for him. I wrote him several different poems, but this one was when we knew he was going to die, and I wanted him to know how special he was to me and how much I would miss him. And that poem won an Editor's Choice Award. I don't have a physical copy of any of those poems anymore, and I'm not sure I could remember it even if I tried. And along with those poetries, I wrote songs. I turned most of those poems into songs. My second husband played the guitar, and so did I. I started playing when I was a teenager, and I actively played for many, many years. There are 3 guitars in my house. One belonged to my husband, and it now belongs to my son, but he didn't take it with him. It's in the closet in the other room. I have a guitar that my husband bought me. I wanted one of those, I forget what they're called now, but they're rounded back. It's an Ovation. So I've got that one. That's my special guitar. And then I've got one that we just picked up at the pawn shop because we were all the time having friends come over, and they didn't have their guitar with them, and they wanted to pick and grin with my husband. And so we had one for company. I haven't played in years. For a while after I lost my second husband, I played, but it just wasn't the same without him. That was my joy with him. So I don't play anymore. I still would love to sit and listen to some good old guitar playing, especially them Southern boys can really get down. I enjoy acoustic more so than electric. And I guess Oh, that was next. That was instruments. I did try playing the flute when I was younger, but I didn't stick with it. After just a few months, I had a hard time reading the actual notes, and I just got confused and give it up. The last one I have is about family, and I'm not going to talk in specific terms, just general numbers and stuff. I told you I'd had 2 dads. My first dad passed away when I was 3. Then my mama married my dad. He adopted me. That's my daddy. And then my mom is married. He died in 2003 with ALS. And mom remarried. She's got a good husband now. He takes good care of her, and I'm appreciative of that. I've got one brother. We're almost 10 years apart. I give birth to 3 of my 5 children. I've got 2 stepchildren. The oldest stepson was my second husband's son, and he was in the military, and he passed away. He had 2 sons. Those are my grandsons, one of which I'm so thankful for. I had a couple daughter-in-laws, but for the first daughter-in-law, I'm so grateful for her. She made sure that I got to keep seeing my oldest grandson even after my son passed away. And in fact, he was just over here this past weekend, spent an hour or 2 with me. I don't get to see the youngest one. That's by another female, and she's never kept in touch with me. In fact, I've lost touch with her, so I haven't seen that grandson since my son's funeral. I've got 5 grandchildren by my younger daughter, and the older daughter didn't have any of her own, but she's got 2 godchildren that she's raising, and I consider those my grandbabies as well. So yeah. The only other thing is my in-laws. I've got some really good in-laws. That wasn't always the case. And I'm not going to talk about that. Again, anything I've said, if you want details, I'm more than happy to share, just not publicly. Mama and Dad raised me. If you can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. So publicly, I don't. I will occasionally, in private, say something, but I don't talk behind their backs. If I feel a way, they know it. I won't say it behind their backs. They will have heard it first. That's another 11th thing about me, is I'm a very honest person. If I have something bad to say, I will try to say it nicely and respectfully, but you will get the truth out of me. Okay, come Wednesday, you will see me in this same shirt, because I'm making the video here in just a little bit. In fact, I may make a 3rd video today if I can get a certain something accomplished. But before I go, I've got people to tag. My first tag is Valeries Cuddly Cat Crochet. She'll probably get tagged by other people, but I'm figuring since it's mostly the smaller ones, maybe she won't be tagged. But Valerie, I'm tagging you. I would like to tag Terri Mare's Crochet, although when she says it, it sounds like a D, but it's written with a R. It's M-A-R-E-S, Crochet, and her Terri is spelled with an I. Sweet girl, I'd love to hear yours, so you're tagged. I'm also tagging Melissa's Knit and Crochet Spot. I'm tagging Melody's Cozy Crochet, who these are all my subscribers, and most of them I was subscribed to. Well, 3 of them I was subscribed to, and 2 of them I wasn't, but I have subscribed. I went and watched the videos. After deciding who I wanted to tag, I went and watched the videos and subscribed. And the last but not least is Yarn and Pajamas, and her name is Rebecca. And Ashley, go and watch her videos. It's one of the first 2 or 3. She has this gnome. Oh my goodness, you've got to watch it and see that gnome. It's got a bird's nest and a bird in there. It's so doggone cute. I would have subscribed to her just for that, because she loves making gnomes, and as you know, I've got the gnome for the holiday thing going on. Well, anyway, I hope you ladies, if you see this and you don't want to do it, you don't have to, because you can get as personal or as fluffy as you want to get, or you can not do it at all. I won't hurt my feelings a bit. And if you see this and you haven't been tagged and you really want to do this video, then I'll tag you too. Go ahead and claim it's for me. I'll claim it. And yeah, so that was fun. Oh my goodness, it's almost a half hour. I better hurry up and let you guys go. A bunch of you probably quit watching long ago. Anyway, I love you, and you guys stay safe and keep loving loving one another. Treat each other with kindness. Bye-bye.